Is the OnePlus 7T Pro any good in 2023? Let's find out together. Now, this device was released in 2019, so it's been about 3 years. So just based on that alone, some people may feel like it's time for an upgrade. But it depends. Now, if you're a person that needs the latest version of Android, then you may not want to consider this device. If you're someone that need a top of the line camera, then you may not want to consider this phone. If you're someone that needs wireless charging, then you may not want to consider this device. But other than those things, I definitely think this device is still good and is definitely worthy of picking up in 2023. First thing, it's a flagship device. Why do I say that? Because it has a flagship processor, it has a flagship display, and it has flagship performance. That's what makes this a flagship device to me. All right. Next, let's consider the price. Now, the price, you can find this for under $300 at ebay.com. So just type in either OnePlus 7 Pro or OnePlus 7T Pro. There's really not a huge difference between the two devices. And I'll share just 5 differences between the OnePlus 7T Pro and the OnePlus 7 Pro. First difference is the OnePlus 7T Pro has a Snapdragon 855 Plus. The OnePlus 7 Pro has a Snapdragon 855. So honestly, even with that, there's not a huge difference because one is just a tad bit faster, and you're really not going to notice the difference in real world usage. So that really is irrelevant, to be honest with you. Next thing, this has a slightly larger battery, and I do mean slightly, just by a couple of milliamps. Like, it really don't matter, honestly. You're going to get great battery life on this device or the OnePlus 7 Pro, because OnePlus, one thing I always say about them, they've always made devices that gives you great battery life. Now, I know battery life is subjective because everybody uses their phone differently, but in my experience using OnePlus for years now, I don't think I've ever used a OnePlus device that gave me bad battery life. I haven't. So it doesn't matter when it comes to the slightly, and I mean very slightly larger battery from that of the OnePlus 7 Pro. Next thing, this was a color you could not get on the OnePlus 7 Pro, this nebula blue. Not a big deal. People can put a skin or a case in the phone, so that's not really going to be a big deal for most people. And also, number 4 is, with the OnePlus 7T Pro, it received super slow motion. Now, I'll say this, and a macro mode. Now, if you're somebody that take a lot of photos of things up close, then you may need that the macro mode. But when it comes to slow motion, honestly, I think I've used slow motion maybe once or twice on all of my phones. And, it's just not something that I would ever use, honestly. And I only used it at that time just to post it for a video. So super slow motion is irrelevant to me. It may not be irrelevant to you because, like I said, we're all different. We all use our phones differently. And the last thing is just this one has a matte finish. The OnePlus 7 Pro did not have a matte finish. So those are the only differences between the OnePlus 7 Pro and the OnePlus 7T Pro. Not a big deal at all. So if you could find the OnePlus 7 Pro for even cheaper, I would say go with that because it's basically the same phone. Now, when it comes to design, I still like the design of this phone. Honestly, I like that the cameras are centered. Of course, nowadays, all the cameras are on the left now. Now they're coming out with the more rounded cameras that are centered. So it just depends on the company, but most phones put the cameras on the left, for the most part. But I still really like the design of this device, and I love this color. I love this matte feel. It makes it a little less slippery, but it just depends. Like if my hands are very dry, even this can feel very slippery. But I definitely love the design of this phone. I like it a lot. Now, when it comes to build quality, Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back, I have 0 scratches on this device. Of course, let me wipe it down a little bit because I know right now you're seeing nothing but a bunch of fingerprints. Let me turn the screen off. 0 scratches, 0 micro scratches. I mean, you can see some stuff, but that's from the microfiber cleaning cloth. Trust me, there are no scratches on this display at all. So the build quality is excellent. Next, the button placement, where you got the power button right here, where it's, somewhat easily reachable. You have the alert slider there, which a lot of people like. Now, my phone stay on vibrate all the time, so that's not a big deal for me, but there's people out there that love the alert slider. It is a big deal. And the reason why I keep my phones on vibrate all the time is because I get so many notifications, and I would get completely annoyed if I'm constantly hearing my phone go off. So for me, I don't need my phone to be on, on sound, getting ring and getting notifications. Vibration is good enough for me. I'm good with that. And of course, you have the volume rockers on the left. Now, there's still a lot of people out there that like this particular configuration when it comes to the buttons. Power button on the right, volume buttons on the left. That's what they like. Me, I prefer everything on the right, only because I'm right-handed. So that's just me. But I'm not speaking for everybody. Next thing, you got the face unlock. Now, the face unlock is a pop-up selfie. And as you can see right there, you can see it right there pop up. So I like that. And you know why I like that? Because it gives you all display. Now, let me show you how good it is. Now, I'm behind the camera. Now, look at how good that is. Now, that's really good. All this time I've been using this thing still works with absolutely no issues. And what that leads to is no notch, no nothing. All display device. And I love that. But we'll get to that in a minute. Next thing, you got the in-display fingerprint sensor, which is here. As you can see, it has a animation, and also it has one of my favorite things, haptic feedback, just a little vibration, which is something Samsung needs to put on their devices. I'm just so used to having a really nice animation and a little vibration. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And also Samsung needs to add some different animations. Their in-display fingerprint sensor is just boring to me. There's no vibration and no animation. So I like that about OnePlus and other manufacturers, where they give you the option, having, you have that vibration, and also you can change different animations for the fingerprint sensor. So I like that. Next, now this is the thing that kind of disappointed me about this device, but they made up for it with the 8 Pro, is that there's no always on display. Now, I know you're looking at it here thinking this thing stays on all the time. It does not. After so many seconds, this is going to go out. So they got on here in the settings department. Now, they said they were going to put always on display on this device, but they lied because it's not on here. This always on display does not stay on all the time. Eventually, this is going to go out, and I don't like that, because when you go into the settings, there's a setting that says always on display. Now, if an always on display doesn't stay on all the time, how is it always on if the display goes off? As you can see what I mean? Everything just goes out. Now, it stays on for at least a good 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, but it goes out. That's not an always on display. So I miss having an always on display when it comes to this device. Now, if that's something you don't care about, that's not going to matter. All right, next thing. Let's get into the display. Now, I love this display, a 6.67 inch Quad HD Plus HDR10 display. Beautiful, 90 hertz. Okay, not 120, but still 90 hertz. All right, 515 pixel density. This is a beautiful display, no doubt about it. And it's all display. As you can see, no notch, no nothing. It's a curved display. Now this device is very, very curvy. So if you really don't like curved displays, you may want to stay away from this, because sometimes I do get accidental sorry, accidental presses. You know, when I'm holding a phone like this, sometimes when I'm holding it like that, I accidentally activate something. See, like it just did there. I don't like that. I think they made this phone just a little bit way too curvy. It does look nice, but it's just not practical. And I think more manufacturers starting to move away from the curved displays, trying to make them a little more flatter, which I think most people want. But this is a completely bezel-less display. No bezels on the top, bottom, or sides. All display. If you're a type of person that always wanted an all display device, you definitely may want to check out the OnePlus 7T Pro or the OnePlus 7 Pro. Next, I already talked about the pop-up selfie, which is nice. This comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, internal storage. Now, you're not getting any expandable storage on this device. Now, for some reason, I had a OnePlus Nord, I believe, maybe a little over a year ago, could have been longer, but it had expandable storage. So I'm not understanding, why would you put expandable storage in a mid-range but won't put it on a flagship that costs more money? I don't understand that. OnePlus, that's something I always did not like about them, is that when it comes to their flagship device, they never ever added SD card support. And if that's something that you definitely need, if you're the type of person that likes to deal with older devices as opposed to the newer devices, which removed SD card support, and you don't want to be looking at this device because you're not getting any SD card support. Maybe 256 gigs is more than enough for you. For me, not so much. I need minimum 512 gigs of storage. So 256 gigs is good, and it may be good for most people, but for me, not quite enough. And they didn't make a 512 gig variant for this particular device. Next, no IP68 water and dust resistance. Now, unfortunately, this one did not have it. However, they did put it on the 8 Pro. Now, with OnePlus, they would say that, you could basically get this wet, it won't get damaged, but they just didn't want to pay for the rating. But I wouldn't trust it. I'd rather know for a fact that it's certified IP68 water and dust resistant, as opposed to just taking OnePlus word for it and saying that it is. It could hold up to a quick submerge or a splash, and that's probably true. But it's nothing like having that peace of mind knowing that it is IP68 water and dust resistant, having that rating. Next, no wireless charging. Now, everybody don't care about wireless charging. Actually, I do, because I have wireless chargers all over the place. I use wireless charging every day. It's very practical. I love sitting my phone on the dock at night, especially for the devices I have always on display, and I could just look over and see the time. Also know that my phone is being charged. So I love wireless charging. The 8 Pro does have wireless charging. So, that's the reason why I would prefer the 8 Pro over this, is also wireless charging and that IP68 water and dust resistant rating. Now, this phone does come with NFC, so you're good with that. No reverse wireless charging. That's not going to be a big deal for most, because most people ain't going to even use that feature. I use it. I've had to use it in a pinch, with my smartwatch, but that's not going to be a big deal for most. But this doesn't have that. Next, you do get dual stereo speakers on this device, which sound pretty good, honestly. Let you hear some music, some non-copyrighted music off of YouTube. Y'all tell me. That's not bad. I mean, these speakers sound pretty good. I'm impressed. You know, you could hear the bass. Of course, you could hear the highs and the mids. So not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now, I can't really let you hear how it sounds with the movie. I mean, I have to do it really, really quick because I don't want to get no copyright issues. But this is how it looks all display right here. All display. Beautiful, isn't it? But I gotta stop it there because I don't want to get no copyright issues. But the display looks beautiful, whether you're watching content or whether you're listening to media. The speakers sound really good on this device. Now, when it comes to battery life, I said earlier about how the OnePlus 7 Pro and the difference between that and this device as far as battery life is concerned. Well, this one has a 4,080 milliamp hour battery. The OnePlus 7 Pro, 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So the only difference is 80 milliamps. So it's not a big deal. You're going to get great battery life on either device. Now, I'm still getting great battery life on this device. Still a day and a half. The standby time is excellent as usual. No surprise there. So if you're looking for a phone where you don't want to have any battery anxiety, you're not going to get any with the OnePlus 7T Pro. No battery anxiety at all. And this phone is actually good for gaming as well. I'm not a gamer, but it is good for gaming. Next, 30-watt warp charging. Now, the warp charging on this device is the real deal, honestly. 0 to 70% in 30 minutes and 0 to 100% in just over an hour. So about an hour and 10 minutes fully charged. That's faster than my Note 20 Ultra, which is only 25 watts. That takes about an hour and 15 minutes. This is an hour and 10 minutes. So I like the fact that this charges so quickly. Now, when it comes to the chipset and performance, you're dealing with the Snapdragon 855 Plus. Of course, Android 12. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to get Android 13. But that don't bother me. I'm cool with Android 12. There's no issues when it comes to performance with this device. None whatsoever. Everything opens up pretty quick. Everything opens up pretty smooth, pretty fast. I have no issues with performance on this device at all. You got Oxygen OS on here that works very, very well. No issues whatsoever. You can see how fast things are opening up. You know, the animations are nice and smooth. Love that. So when it comes to performance, you're not going to have an issue with the OnePlus devices. They've always been known to have great performance. And when it comes to the scrolling speeds with the 90 hertz, fast. Very, 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 very fast. As you can see. I mean, it's blazing fast. Now, it's not as smooth as 120 hertz, but if it's not about smoothness, if it's about speed and efficiency, you're going to get that out of this device. No doubt about it. And our last thing, let's talk about these cameras on the back. Now, I'm going to have to say this. These cameras on here are just okay. Seriously. Now, if the cameras are not the biggest deal to you, then you're not going to have an issue with these cameras. Now, these does take decent photos and good lighting conditions, but they're just not the best when it comes to other devices currently out there in the market, but they're okay. Now, if you're somebody that really is not into the camera like that, then it's not going to really matter that much. I mean, this doesn't take horrible photos and videos, but compared to the competition today, these would be way behind. That's all I'm saying. But even me, I got a bunch of phones, but I don't really take photos and videos, honestly. So the camera is not the biggest deal. If I have at least one phone that takes really great photos and videos, I'm good. Every phone that I get after that doesn't need to take great photos and videos, but that's just me. I'm only speaking for myself. Now, you do get a 48 megapixel wide, an 8 megapixel telephoto with 3 times optical zoom, 16 megapixel ultra wide, and it shoots video at 4K at 60 frames per second. Now, with the selfie camera, you're getting a 16 megapixel wide, shoots video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. So I've taken some photos with this device in the past, and they weren't that bad, but I'm just saying compared to the competition today, then, you know, they wouldn't hold up against, you know, these newer phones, but fine for the average consumer that's not all about the cameras. So, do I think is the OnePlus 7T Pro any good in 2023? I say yes, and I said earlier in the beginning of the video, if you don't need the best cameras, if you don't need wireless charging, if you don't need the IP68 water and dust resistant rating, if you don't need the latest version of Android, then this phone, you're going to be happy with it. I promise you that. Great build quality. To me, I love the design. Great button placement. Great face unlock. You got all screen. You got a pop-up selfie, so you're getting all display. Excellent fingerprint sensor. That's 100% accurate. No issues with that. Really, really nice speakers. I love the speakers. Love the display. Love the battery life. So you're getting a great device. And remember, I said before, you're getting a flagship device. Okay, it's only missing a few things, but overall, this is a great device, and I definitely would recommend this to anybody that's looking for an older flagship device, or maybe there's somebody out there that's really into OnePlus and like OnePlus. Remember, you're still getting Oxygen OS on here. I love the animation. Let me just show you this animation just real quick that they added. See how it turns like that? I love that. I love how it breaks apart like that. And of course, you could change it when you swipe. It just goes back really quick. Of course, you got the Google feed right to your left. So like I said, no issues with this device. It's fast, it's smooth, it's bright. Display is beautiful, all display. It's a little bit wider than the OnePlus 8 Pro, which I do like. That's the one thing I was disappointed about the OnePlus 8 Pro, is that they made it more narrow. Now, I know for some people that don't really like wide phones, especially people with small hands, but I prefer a wider device because you're going to get more display real estate. So I prefer a wider device. Now, it's not always the easiest thing that, try to use it one-handed, because most phones today you can't use one-handed, especially if you're into large devices. Now, if you're into smaller devices, then, one-handed is not going to be an issue. But this does have a one-handed mode as well. So that's it. So do I think that the OnePlus 7T Pro is still good in 2023? Absolutely. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. And you could get it for a really good price at this particular time. So thank you all for taking the time to watch this content. I do appreciate it. Hope everybody out there is staying safe, staying well, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.